Welcome to the Camps Bay Guy podcast, your go-to podcast for everything real estate related in Cape Town. Now, let's get into the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Camps Bay Guy podcast. I'm very excited about today's episode. We've got a special guest, Richard Gray, the CEO of Harcourts South Africa. I'm very excited to have him on the podcast today. Richard, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks for having me along. I'm also really excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
How have you been? What have you been
really
up
good.
to?
Sure, been really good. You know, you were at our conference. We had, it feels like a lot longer ago, but about probably just over a month. Since then, been to Australia, to the Harcourts International conference, which was really good fun. And now here in Cape Town with you.
Yeah.
So it's been fun all the way.
Good to have you here. And yeah,
Thanks,
sorry it's not all sunshine and rainbows today in Cape Town. We had a lot of rain. I think Richard almost got washed away when he arrived at the studio today. But yeah, you made it in the end. Didn't get washed away. So yeah, maybe we can kick it off and you can share your background and your journey to becoming the CEO of Harcourts South Africa.
So yeah, I certainly won't bore everybody with my CV, but I did start, I was at your alma mater, Rhodes University, and studied there, had a great time, obviously, as one does there, but studied computer science, actually did honors in computer science. And for anybody who's watched The Big Bang Theory, I know some people have watched the TV show, that it was a bit like that, you know, sort of Revenge of the Nerds. In those days, it was... tech was really just for the guys with the thick glasses who sat in the corner, and I was part of that, and absolutely loved it. I really enjoyed technology. Left there and started working, and much to my horror, I realized quite early on that if you were in that sort of field, you didn't really get to deal with people much, you know. So you kind of got stuck away in your corner, just churning out lines of code. And I didn't enjoy it. I really enjoy working with people and love people. And so the only way I could still sort of do tech and sort of work with people was to get into a leadership position. So I started pursuing that. So within the tech space, started leading people, and that was kind of how I got into leadership. It took me off to the USA. I worked for Oracle in the USA for a few years, which was amazing, really good experience. Came back, got into banking, still kind of in the tech field, but once again, sort of more leadership in the tech field. Moved on to bond origination, and then got an opportunity 14 years ago to join Harcourts. Their CEO was leaving and got this opportunity to join. I sort of saw it as a bit of a filler job, you know, like kind of look for something else, but not bad in the meantime. And 14 years later, I'm still there, loving it. Don't see it as a job. It's just a wonderful place to be. And still equally as passionate as I was 14 years ago.
Amazing. And I can definitely feel that passion that you have for working with people. I mean, I think you're such a great leader. You care about everybody, down to the lowest, not that there's rankings or anything, down to the lowest, the person who's just starting, the intern, all the way up to the top. And I think that's what makes the company so special is having you as a leader. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
I wanted to quickly interrupt this episode to let you know that you can book a 30-minute meeting with me to discuss any of your real estate needs. Just click on the link in the description below and schedule your appointment. Now let's get into the show. And maybe let's discuss the growth of Harcourts from 2009. I know we were the HomeNet group in 2009, and then it rebranded to Harcourts. Obviously, the Australian franchise or Australasian franchise came into South Africa. How did you manage to grow the business to where it is now from then? Obviously, you didn't join in you weren't there in 2009, but you came
I joined
later
in 2010,
on and have played a big role in the growth of the company in South Africa.
So I mean, it was really interesting because obviously 2009, 2010 was just at the end of the global financial crisis. So there was like no money. The property market was decimated. It was a great time to get into real estate, but also full of opportunity. So we really had to have a big growth mindset at that stage. Harcourts was a new brand, sort of a mid-tier player because of the HomeNet link. So it wasn't a startup, but And so it was all about growth and, kind of getting in there with a growth mindset, embracing growth, getting everybody focused on growth. And I kind of looked at three big things that I had to get right, to maybe, and things that would probably explain our success. One was the team. So it was getting a great team around me that were all focused on growth. People who were not happy to just sit and be a middle of the range company, all wanted to be a bigger, better version of ourselves. So I surrounded myself with good growth people, and most of them are still with us, which is even better. And that
Amazing.
didn't just include my own team; it included franchisees of ours that had big ideas about growth and are still growing. So that was the first thing. The second thing was to have a good product. Obviously, it's all great to speak about growth and want to do things, but as a new kid on the block and someone who was a new brand, we had to make sure we were leaders in technology, leaders in skills development, leaders in marketing ourselves, and had to get all those things right. So we had to have a good product, that we could get out and attract people to come to Harcourts. Otherwise, hey, we were just another name. But probably the thing which surprised me and has probably been the difference between us and others has been our culture. It's kind of our secret sauce, the Colonel's 11 herbs and spices kind of thing. Our culture's been the thing that's probably given us the biggest boost in our growth. Harcourts is a values-based company. We've got strong values. It's probably the only company I've ever worked for. If you ask people what our values are, they can tell you. Normally it's just something on the wall that nobody knows. So we've got a strong values, strong purpose, people who live those values. And I think that's really been the glue that's pulled Harcourts together and made us a successful company that we are. We've, in the last 14 years, 13 years of those have all seen an increase in market share. So we've grown our market share, except for the 1 year we did a bit of clean out. So we didn't grow that year. But 13 out of 14 years growing market share, which I think is just the testament to that,
So every year since the business has kind of started has been a better year than the year before. That's
I think market share is really important. People talk about growth and they go, oh, we did better, but the whole market maybe improved, so they did better. I think it's when you're growing market share, it means you're doing better than everybody else. And that's what we measure.
Okay.
It's been really pleasing that we've managed to do that.
And when you look at market share, how do you measure market share? Is it how many listings you have? Is it how many sales you're doing compared to other agencies?
So it's quite a few things. I mean, it's very difficult in our country as opposed to Australia and other places where Harcourts operate, where you can just see market share because it's public knowledge. Here you've got to kind of have a look at things. So we do look at listings. We look at our footprint. We do look at sales, although that's the difficult one to get. So we kind of have to look at where we can glean information from. But we do look at that. And then we look at Lightstone or one of the, what sort of percentage of the sales we've done of the total industry sales every year is probably the most accurate way to see market share.
Okay,
because then you know what percentage of those sales that were done in the industry you did. And as long as that's going up, then your market share is growing.
Amazing. Wow. And I think you touched on the culture there as well, and for me that's one of the big things for me being at Harcourts is the culture. It's just so special. You go to events like the conference and you go to our regional awards and everybody's just so friendly and happy, and it makes such a big difference. And then when you go out and you live those values and you try to live those values every day as an agent, there's no way you're not going to deliver the best service to your clients.
It is something very unique. And it's not something you can buy. It's not something you can just create overnight. It's something that grows and you've got to foster it, nurture it. And I see that as certainly one of the big parts of my role is to make sure that the culture is always protected and looked after. So, yes.
For sure. And I think it's also something where you can always weed someone out very quickly. If they don't fit that culture, you can see it straight away.
Yes.
Our
culture spits people out. If
you
don't fit into the culture, you won't last. It's simple as that.
100%.
Indeed.
I'd like to take a moment to introduce one of my sponsors, Van Zyl Kruger Attorneys. Throughout my career as an agent, I've exclusively worked with Van Zyl Kruger Attorneys, and they have never let me down. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with their director, Eberhard Kruger, to discuss what makes them so exceptional.
Thanks so much for meeting me today. For those of you that don't know, Eberhard is the director of Van Zyl Kruger Attorneys. What makes Van Zyl Kruger attorneys stand out from other conveyancing firms or legal firms?
Hello Josh, thank you for the opportunity. Property, which is the majority of our services. It's an emotional ride for most people, and it's the biggest transaction they'll probably conclude in their life. So whether it's a 100,000 rand transfer or 100 million rand transfer, we try to treat each client the same and make it a special experience for them.
What other services do you offer your clients at Van Zyl Kruger?
We do a bit of everything, to be quite honest. We do litigation, civil, criminal, commercial, a wide range of services. There's pretty much everything that we do, or someone inside that specializes in it. So we try to help every single client that walks through the doors.
Eberhard, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you very much for chatting to me, Josh, and good luck with your career, my man.
Sure.
So, Richard, what are your thoughts on the South African property market and its direction, especially in the light of the new coalition government?
Yeah, Josh, residential property in particular is very sentiment-based. It's it's an emotional thing. And, when people feel uncertain or anxious, they generally won't buy or sell property. I mean, they'll only do it if they really have to. So we've seen a very slow property market this year, largely because of that, because it's wait and see. I think now that we have a little bit of certainty around the political situation and this government of national unity, etc., I think we'll start seeing a little bit of comfort and certainty coming into people's lives, and I'm expecting that will be a bit of a catalyst to get the property market going again.
For sure.
There's almost like a bit of built up pressure now of people who are just waiting and seeing, and I definitely expect to see that release. I think on top of that, we can expect some interest rate decreases, probably sooner rather than later. I think that the world has certainly viewed the changes on the political landscape as positive from a business perspective, as compared to maybe some of the other potential scenarios. So I think that we will see potentially interest rates coming down quicker, and that combined with the sentiment should be good for the property market this year. Should speed it up, and I think 2025 I think is going to be a really good year for the property market. I really do.
So it's now's the time to start putting in the hard yards.
Absolutely,
for 2025.
Absolutely, for sure.
If you're an agent, do the work.
This is it.
Put in the graft now,
That's
so that you can have a really good 2025.
That's it.
And you think so? You think prices? Do you think prices might go up because of that?
I'm not sure about prices. Are always difficult to call because it does depend on supply and demand, and I think it's area specific.
For
So
sure.
I think where there is high demand, you might start seeing property prices edging up again.
For sure.
In other areas, it'll just mean there's more volume turnover.
Yeah.
So it will depend on where in the country, but I think that we're finding that we will find just more activity because right now it's just been slow.
Sure.
But I think, like for example, in the Western Cape, we'll see the activity and the prices probably popping up again. Although I know there are parts of the Western Cape where there's a view that maybe the property prices have run ahead of themselves.
Sure.
But once again, it's very broad to talk about the Western Cape. People
yes.
do that just very easily. The Western Cape, but the Western Cape's big.
Yeah, there's
and
different markets.
very diverse. Yeah, very diverse. So but I do think the property market will improve. going into 2025.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and it's it's been very resilient, the property market. If you look at it, it's the one thing that's probably stood out for me is the resilience. I think in many other economies, if we had been through what we've been through, the property market would have just fallen apart. Ours really hasn't. I mean, I know in Harcourts we haven't lost one office over the last year, and we've lost some agents, but not a lot. Just economically, just couldn't make it anymore. But not a lot. And I think as a result, we've just shown resilience. The property market is good. There's high demand for property. People in South Africa want to own their own property. It's amazing, and we have a lot of people who don't own their own properties who would love to. We saw that during when the interest rates went really low and affordability improved for people. How many people bought property? And I think that was just a really good. It just shows how many people want to own their own homes.
Yeah, there's something about having your own piece of real estate,
That's
your own real estate. It's like
Yeah.
a security blanket sort of thing.
And it's a South African thing.
Yeah.
I think
So they don't see that like in other sort of markets?
No, I mean, I look in Australia, for example, at the very high percentage of people who rent properties there. Same in New Zealand, not as high a percentage of ownership as we would probably get to if people could afford. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. And reflecting on the growth of the company, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them to achieve the current success?
So the obvious big problem with a new brand coming in is nobody knows your brand. So, HomeNet had been a reasonably well-known brand, and then Harcourts came along, and literally nobody knew who we were. Obviously, as I mentioned, the global financial crisis meant nobody had any money either. So we couldn't go and splash ourselves all over TV, and social media wasn't as strong then. So, we couldn't even go that route. And so we really had to rely on organic growth. It was very tough. I mean, if I had literally £1 for every time someone said to me, nobody knows who Harcourts is, I'd be pretty wealthy right now.
Yes.
It really was a tough road to get your brand known, and we had to be very innovative. And at the end of the day, it was just getting feet on the ground, boards in the ground, growing organically, being a bit patient, but being known for all the right things and growing in the right way. So I think the biggest challenge was kind of patience around growing the brand and understanding you couldn't be a household name overnight kind of thing. And it's still a challenge for us. I mean, we're up against brands that have been around, 50 years in South Africa, and we've been around 12, 13, 14 years. You're always going to be a little bit behind those, but we're getting there. And obviously we feel 100%. Like we're winning all the time, and we got lots of offices and a big footprint, and people now get to know us. The other big challenge we had was probably that people felt a little bit inferior, because we were new, that there were these other very established brands that we were for some reason not as good as them. And I had to really make a conscious effort to kind of take advantage of the new kid on the block status. So people were interested in Harcourts because we were new, and we were kind of the tech guys, the guys in tires, people were curious about us. And so as a result, we had to leverage that to overcome this thing that we might be inferior in some way, or because we weren't as well established. So we had to really focus on the sort of curiosity factor, and we worked a lot on that. People didn't know who we were. We wanted to tell them who we were. So that was cool.
I actually love that aspect of the brand, because I think that still kind of shines through in the leadership. Not that we no one knows who we are now. People do know who Harcourts are, but I think we still come from a place where we're the underdog, and we're still fighting to get to the top. We have a vision that we want to be probably one of the top real estate agency or real estate company in South Africa, and everybody's kind of fighting for that mission and putting the word out there, and I'm a Harcourts agent. And so I really love that about the brand, and I think that's what's impacted, might be what's impacted. Well, you've actually just said, you've hit the nail on the head. What's impacted a lot of the growth within South Africa and with our agents. So I love that aspect of the brand. And Harcourts has a proud history spanning, I don't think a lot of people actually know about the history of Harcourts in South Africa, but the history spans more than 135 years, and we're known for our service, support, and industry excellence. How has Harcourts managed to maintain its legacy while continuously evolving to meet the highest expectations of its clients?
So it's been really interesting because Harcourts has been around a long time. It started in New Zealand. They sort of around 20 years ago went into Australia, and then started expanding globally into different countries. I think what Harcourts has done very, very well is it's stuck to its core business. So it hasn't tried to be anything that it's not. So it's been very strong, always been very strong on auction, very strong residentially. And although it's built a commercial arm, and it's built some agricultural arms and things along the way, it's still been true to itself, and stuck to that, and then always put the client at the center, So I think because it's been client centric, it's managed to maintain that legacy.
Yes.
The big thing that I think Harcourts has done very well has been innovative. So, a lot of other real estate companies, and I've watched them over the years in South Africa, but it's happened all around the world, tend to get a bit complacent, and they start going, we're big enough now, we don't have to worry. I always sense with Harcourts, dealing with the international guys, they're never satisfied. It's like always, what can we do better? What what do we need to do? There's just that constant burning desire to be better. And I think that's what drives a company. That's why they don't go extinct. You look at all there's lots of these, especially recently, companies that have gone under after 100 years and, been replaced by innovative disruptors. Harcourts isn't one of those because they're constantly wanting to get better and improve themselves and keep up.
For sure. I think that comes through in the technology we've got and all the tools that we get. And we're constantly getting stuff from the international guys and learning stuff from the international
100%.
guys, which I think gives our agents a big upper hand on other agents in South Africa, because I think there's a very kind of tunnel vision sort of way of doing things in South Africa in terms of real estate. And when you bring something from outside, a different way of doing things, or a way that you can do it better, it gives our agents, it's like having another feather in the cap. So
it does.
For sure, that experience over time and having the international guys as well has helped us a lot.
It definitely has.
And Harcourts has an impressive, we've touched on it now, international presence with over 879 offices across 11 different countries, more than 6,670 sales consultants, and has sold over 574 billion rand worth of property. Additionally, Harcourts has conducted more than 10,700 auctions and manages over 100,000 properties, with a property being sold every 10 minutes and rented out every 17 minutes by our team. These figures are truly remarkable. How has Harcourts achieved such global success, and what strategies have been the key in maintaining and growing these levels of excellence and reach?
Yeah, I think once again, Harcourts has stuck to its core, so values-based company, culture being very important. It hasn't tried to grow where it felt it couldn't. So if you notice that a lot of the Harcourts countries that they're in are fairly similar. So Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, all fairly similar markets, operate real estate in the same way. They ventured into America with a very unique value proposition, which was bringing auction into America, and they're doing really well with that. So that was clever. They didn't try and just become yet another real estate company in the US. They went in with a specific value offering, which was auction, which they don't do in the US, and now they do. And they've cracked markets like Indonesia and Hong Kong and places like that, which have been smart moves. They haven't just tried to go into Europe, and try and dominate Europe. They've been really clever in their global expansion. But I think once again, client at the center, be innovative. It's all the core stuff. Culture being really important, put the right people in place. So I think clever expansion.
And touching on Europe, do you think that Harcourts will ever go into Europe?
At the moment, there isn't an appetite at the moment, because I believe that the thinking at the moment is the countries they're in, there's so much scope still to grow. That to go and just spread yourself thinly all over the world is not the way to go. I think we've seen other companies try to do that and fail, and that's where it's the selective thing. Certainly never say never.
Sure.
But I think if they do, the thing is within Europe, every market's different as well. So it's easy to say Europe is a bit like saying Africa. It's every market's a bit different, and you've got to, so I think they'll be selective.
No, for sure. And the UK is also, if you just look at a place like the UK, the way they do real estate there compared to the way they do it here, completely different. It's not very regulated. South Africa, I think, is more regulated than the UK. So, different markets, but I think we've done really well in the markets that we've moved into.
Certainly.
And I think the one thing that I've noticed about Harcourts that kind of makes it different to a lot of the other companies is that your head office, like CEO and the people that work in the head office, don't really have like ownership of. They're not focused on growing their branch, or because they don't own a branch.
Correct.
There's a head office, and the head office is responsible for making sure that the agents are doing as many sales as possible, because the head office only makes money when agents sell, because they're earning royalties. So I think that's what's very unique, and maybe what has kept our company. What has made our company continue to grow, because you guys are not making money technically unless we selling property. So you got to find a way to get the agents to sell more property.
It's a really good observation, Josh. That's I think it's the difference as well, because we're not conflicted in any way where we're trying to grow our own offices or in maybe in competition with others. We have a very clear model. We don't own any of our own offices. It's all franchised, and we are totally motivated to make other people successful. Our success comes from that, 100%.
Amazing. Yeah. And I love it. I love that. I love that business model.
Yeah.
And how is Harcourts competing with companies like EXP, especially with agents, a lot of agents wanting to move from larger companies to smaller niche firms? What are your thoughts on this trend and how are Harcourts kind of working to kind of retain the agents?
So it's interesting. I mean, in my 14 years now in real estate, every year there are new people who come in with new models, and I think that's brilliant. I get quite annoyed when people write them off because I think that's arrogant. I think you've got to look at any new person coming in, look at what they're doing, look at their models. I think we're fortunate that we can sometimes take the best ideas out of those models, and maybe and I think that makes us better because it introduces new thoughts sometimes. The key is, though, that I think a company like Harcourts is very flexible. So, people come in with new models that maybe offer more commission or offer just different ways of working. As long as within our companies, we can offer the flexibility to match those, then people won't really want to leave. So we have seen a very small exodus from Harcourts to those sort of companies, although a lot of them have grown well, some of the new companies. They haven't, fortunately, been thanks to Harcourts. Yes. If I look across the Harcourts group, we offer all the models, right from the very traditional sort of 50-50 agent has their desk and they come in every day and that caters for a lot of people, right through to the high split, work from home, have your own business kind of model, and it's sort of everything in between. And I think as long as you have that flexibility, you're going to be able to provide and be competitive. I think the other big thing which Harcourts gives is flexibility around people's brand. We really do understand that although we have a sort of mother brand, and Harcourts offers that security of a brand that covers all these countries and everywhere, that people have their own unique personality, their own unique brands within those brands, and we love that. I mean, you're a great example of it. I mean, where people can grow their own personality and their own brand personality and their own position within the brand. Some brands are super strict, and you can't do that. And we're not one of those. We actually encourage it. So I think if you can provide the flexibility within your brand, then those other niche brands can live within Harcourts, and they're not attractive. So, I love seeing new players coming in, and I mean that sincerely. I really do, because you get good ideas, and it is good to shake up the market every now and again. But you can't be rigid. As long as you're flexible, all is good.
Yeah, I think you've touched on it. Harcourts has been able to adapt because we've also been we're an old company, as I've mentioned, but we're a young company in South Africa. And that's allowed us to kind of be adaptable. When we see something come in, we can adapt and we can work around it. And yes, Harcourts has allowed me, have never held me back from, the whole Camps Bay Guy brand and doing that. And now it's actually, we're sitting on a podcast, the Camps Bay Guy podcast,
exactly.
And having some great conversations.
And I think the other thing, Josh, is that we have had a couple of people who leave to go to some of those other brands. A lot of them have come back. So, and it's not because of money or anything like that. It's generally because of the culture that we spoke about earlier. So people miss that. They find working on their own very lonely. They miss the support they get. They miss the other people and that very unique culture that we have, where everybody's kind of pulling for each other, wanting everybody else to do well, celebrating each other's success. They miss that. And I think that's the thing that always pulls them back. When we speak to them, when they come back and we welcome them back, that's the thing that they'll always mention is, we missed that, So that's good to know.
Yeah, there's something special about being a part of something bigger than yourself, As much as agents, we all want to do well for ourselves. And I think agents, particularly, we are maybe a little bit self-centered, and we want to push our brand out there, and obviously we want to be better than the other guy. We're very competitive, but there's something special when you're part of something bigger than yourself, and growing your success contributes to the success of someone else.
Yes.
And I think that's special, and maybe you don't get that somewhere else, like an EXP, where you're sitting at home all day. And you don't have that interaction within an office or within a team, going to regional awards, things like that. So
not everybody wants to talk to an avatar.
Exactly. And then what impact do you think new technologies such as AI will have on the real estate industry?
Wow, we could just do a podcast on that alone.
For sure.
I mean, in short, I think that there's so many mundane and repetitive tasks in real estate that could be done through AI or technology generally. And I think some guys have already hooked onto that. Some good agents have hooked onto that already, where they're getting tech and AI to work for them. Obvious things like ChatGPT writing their write-ups for property listings, especially people who are not necessarily particularly good at writing those, and they can write some good ones, using tech in that way. But I think we'll see it moving now into lead generation without a doubt, which I think will be good. But at the end of the day, if it's used correctly to make the client experience better, in other words, make search more efficient for clients. I'd like to see the portals using AI much better, where instead of being presented with a whole whack of properties, where they know the person who's searching better and it can narrow down their search for them. Great. Yes. That helps everybody.
Wow.
So I think it'll be things like that will make the real estate experience better for everyone, and make everything more efficient. I do believe, though, that that people are always very quick to jump to, robots will replace real estate people. Trust me, for 14 years now, I've been hearing about how tech's going to replace real estate people. It doesn't. It's a massive, massive transaction that people are doing. Most people really do want help. And as long as real estate people make themselves relevant and add value, they will be there.
Yes.
The beauty about tech and, arms of tech like AI is that you can become more efficient, you can be more productive, you can use tech to make the client experience better. That's the exciting stuff.
Yes.
It's not being replaced.
No, for sure. I mean, specific things like WhatsApp, when you can, they can automatically chat with someone.
Yes.
Let's say you're not available, and we know as real estate and salespeople is that, clients these days, they want, especially with online deliveries and shopping online, they want an instant response, and AI can help us be better at responding to our clients. It's going to be interesting how that happens. And then I was telling you before the episode started, I actually got a sales call, I think yesterday, from an AI bot. And the AI, I was having a conversation with this AI bot that was asking me, how this service could benefit me and why. It was crazy.
Amazing.
So, I mean, that's the future. Obviously, it's going to be very tough to implement that in your lead generation now, because I think our clients want to have a relationship with us, and as soon as they can tell it's an AI bot, they're going to put the phone down. But it will be. I'm excited to see. I'm excited and scared as an agent. Imagine a robot can go out there and show a property for you. But I guess legally, I don't know where it's going. It's going to be interesting.
I still think there will be a massive role for real estate people. And it will be the personal touch. I do think, though, for real estate people who are not adding value, who literally just see it as a transaction, who don't build relationships, I would say that they are much more exposed to potentially not having a great long-term future. People need to really foster those relationships and know where they add value. That's the key.
For sure. I mean, it's all about the relationship at the end of the day. As you've hit the nail on the head. When somebody's buying, it's their most expensive asset or the biggest transaction they'll make in their life. They want to feel special. Everyone wants to feel special. And if you can make people feel special, then you're gonna have a business, as you said. I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to our foreign exchange partner, Currencies Direct. If you need to move money in or out of South Africa, just let me know and I'll connect you with their expert team. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Kobus de Kock to discuss their services in more detail.
I would like to introduce our Forex partners, Currencies Direct. And I'm currently seated with Kobus de Kok. What makes Currencies Direct stand out from other foreign exchange companies in South Africa?
I think we've got the global footprint, and the process of getting their funds here is as quick as a day. And we specialize in property.
Why is it beneficial to use a Forex company such as Currencies Direct when you're either bringing money in or taking money out of the country?
The process, the onboarding, and by onboarding I mean registration, is a very easy, customer-friendly process that they follow. The client has basically a private Forex dealer. I think that puts them at ease that they can actually speak to a person.
Thanks so much, Kobus. Really appreciate it. If you guys need any Forex help, please contact myself and I'll put you in touch with Kobus. And we really appreciate you guys being a part of the podcast.
And so what's in the pipeline for the future of Harcourts in South Africa?
We've got so much going on. So let me just pick out a few things. So we're launching our new brand position at the moment. So Harcourts' new sort of tagline is "We Make It Possible," which I think is just the most awesome brand position for real estate. Because if you think about it, people buying a home, it's a dream thing. It's all about being maybe a little bit intimidated by it, but we make it possible, So, I could spend half an hour sitting just telling you about that. So very excited about our new positioning of the brand. We make it possible.
Awesome.
We spent a lot of time on our tech platform last year, getting it to a point where we are ready to now start launching new and exciting products off that. I think you'll see over the next little while some great new products launching off that. We've just done a new partnership with a social media company, which is going to be rolled out soon, which will improve our social media. They've got some great tech that sits behind the scenes and does some fantastic automation for us. And anyway, should improve our social media. We are obviously taking care of people's skills development. There's a lot of new requirements around real estate people coming into the industry and what needs to happen, and a lot of change of qualifications. And we like to take the pain away from our people by trying to help them with that. So a lot of work going on behind the scenes to sort that out. We also obviously are growing. In the last 2 weeks alone, we've signed up 2 new Harcourts franchises. So our office footprint is growing. So just loads of stuff going on at the moment, Josh. Lots of stuff going on.
Exciting. I'm excited to see. I'm excited as an agent at the company. I'm very excited for these new things to come in. And I love how we always growing and looking for new ways to do things. And with the exciting plans you've mentioned for the future of Harcourts, what specific initiatives and innovations are you most excited about, and how do you see them impacting the company and the industry as a whole?
So I think a couple of things. I mean, one is that we make it possible. So I think the positioning of that now, we're in a country that kind of needs hope. And we always sort of seem to take ourselves to the precipice and pull ourselves back. And we're, we certainly people in our country grasp at good news a lot of the time. And I think a tagline like "We Make It Possible" speaks to that. So, even when things maybe are a little bit bleak, we make it possible. People are struggling often in an economy like we've got now, but we make it possible. People are not getting places even to rent that they're looking for, but we make it possible. So I think it's positioning ourselves as someone who can really help you, the client, in your journey. So I'm very excited about that. I think we're scratching the surface with that. So that's going to be one of them. Exciting. And then, as I said, the things that we're going to be able to build on top of our tech platform. We spent a lot of time cobbling together our own systems that we've built together with some industry systems, which are kind of more the commoditized things. And we've put that platform in place now that we can launch things off. And I think that's really where we're going to go. And then one thing I didn't mention earlier is we're working with Harcourts International on a new luxury brand. Which will be also launching towards the end of the year. So that's also something super excited about that. So so lots going on here.
Lovely, exciting.
Yes.
I'm very excited. The We Make It Possible. I think I'm excited for the launch of that campaign as well, because it's something that we're a problem solver. We're finding the solution. we're not looking for the problems, we're finding the solution. And that's what we need in this country.
That is exactly right.
I would like to take a moment to introduce one of my sponsors, Harcourts Real Estate. As many of you know, I've been an agent at Harcourts for just over 3 years, and it has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. What truly sets Harcourts apart is culture, as well as the commitment to growth and innovation, both in technology and client interactions. The management team at Harcourts continually seeks to enhance the client experience and make our jobs as agents more efficient and effective. Thanks to Harcourts' incredible support, I've gone from a rookie to joining the Blue Circle Society, an elite group reserved for the top 10 agents in the company each year, within the short space of 3 years. This achievement is no small feat and is a testament to the backing and resources Harcourts has provided me with, allowing me to grow my own brand, the Camps Bay Guy, within the company. The training I've received at Harcourts has helped me become a distinguished luxury sales agent along the Atlantic seaboard. Some of my achievements include the highest sectional title sales in Mooley Point and Greenpoint for 2023. The company culture at Harcourts has fostered a dedication within me to cultivate enduring relationships with my clients, consistently delivering outstanding outcomes for them. I want to extend a huge thank you to Harcourts for partnering with me and sponsoring the Camps Bay Guy podcast. If you would like to find out more about our amazing company, follow the link in the description below. And over the last 2 years, as you've mentioned, we've seen many changes. How do you decide when to pivot and make a change as a business leader? There are so many people trying to sell us solutions. How do you effectively implement change in a large organization such as Harcourts South Africa? I know there's a few questions in there. But
I get that.
It's coming from, more of a place where, as an agent even, there's always someone trying to sell you the next lead generation tool, the next this, the next that. Sure. And must be, you probably get that 10x or 100x what we're getting.
It's probably the toughest part of my job is saying no. Yes. And I think it's one of those things that you, especially someone like who's got a bit of a techie background like me, I get a bit excited about stuff like that. So I have to constantly rein myself in. And there's two things I always ask myself. One is, will this improve the client experience? So is it going to be something that makes our clients have a better experience with Harcourts? And number two, is it going to grow our business? Is it going to be something that helps our agents be more successful and grow their businesses? And if it doesn't tick those boxes, then we probably shouldn't be looking at it. So that's quite a good filter. That sort of filters things out. I also have really learned over the years that our network of Harcourts people can only absorb so much change at once as well, though. Not everybody can just be bombarded with here's a new thing, here's a new thing, here's a new thing, because you can't. And from your own business, you're spending 95% of your time servicing clients and growing your business. You can't be just dealing with a moving target as well. So you've got to get the balance right with that. So it is really difficult. And I do seem to, some days I go home and I just think, all I did today was just say no. And I'm like such a damn squib, but I'm not really. It's just, you've got to do that. Otherwise we would just run ourselves off our feet and really get nowhere. So you've got to just focus on some key things. Every year, I sit down and we make key decisions around what we're going to do this year, and we stay focused on those things. Because if we didn't, we would get to the end year and not have done any of those, because we just chased all the new bright, shiny lights that kept, attracting our attention. So it's a real challenge. And as a leader, that probably is the hardest thing, is doing that.
I can imagine. Sure.
And dealing with people's disappointment when they've really pitched something at you and you've got to go, not this year.
No, I think that you mentioned something, staying focused on your goal and your vision for the year. Especially, doing the podcast and things like that I'm doing now as well. I'm feeling that on my side. There's another shiny object that comes, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there by saying, stay true to your vision, execute that, and then you can look at it maybe the next year or see where it fits in. And then the next.
And maybe the timing's just not right.
No,
for sure.
Sure, but kudos to you for being able to say all those no's. And yeah, we've kind of come to the end of the episode. I always like to ask all of my guests, what is your message for young people who want to enter the real estate industry?
First of all, do it. I think it's a wonderful industry. And prior to me joining it, I didn't know enough about it to make that statement, but I can definitely say it is. A couple of key things, though. It is really hard work. So if you think it's an easy industry that you can just waltz into and make tons of money, you can't. The most successful people I've seen are all people who do the basics really well, who are prepared to do the hard yards. It's not one of those things that you see on reality TV where people walk in and just make gazillions overnight. They do the hard yards. I look at someone like yourself who is prepared to do the canvassing, the prospecting, the stuff that nobody else enjoys, and then sees the success of that. There's no easy way. It's not sales. It's much more service than sales. And we've said it a number of times today, it's relationships. So just build those relationships, work hard on those relationships. Make sure that even though someone might only be buying a house every few years, that you keep those relationships going and just work on those, because that will make you successful at the end of the day. But real estate's a wonderful place to be.
Amazing. Thanks for that message. I think that's great advice. It's not easy out there.
No, it's not.
So Richard, that brings us to the end of the episode. I just want to say a massive thank you you've come all the way out to Cape Town to do this episode and be with us and share your advice with everyone out there, and share all the amazing things that Harcourts has to offer. And I think you're doing a great job as the CEO of Harcourts, and I really want to say thank you for, being the amazing leader that you are. So thanks for joining us today.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And keep up the amazing stuff that you're doing. You're an inspiration to not just me, but to many people around. I can tell you, we do need breaths of fresh air every now and again, and you are truly one of those. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
Cheers.